Good evening, Top fans. It's Bill again from Top Fan Rivalry here, back for another clubhouse, back with some of my friends, Ned and Jackson Westfall, Dave Schaefer, and John Hendrickson. The boys just keep coming back into town, and we're loving it. Spring training is in full force. I hope you got a chance to look at the Instagram page, the Top Fan Rivalry Instagram page. We've been posting our predictions from last week's YouTube, and hopefully you've had a chance to watch the YouTube as well. Tonight, John and Dave join us again. They weren't with us last week, so they're going to make their predictions first on who's going to make the playoffs and where everybody sits. And then, of course, the rest of us will go with our predictions. And I've got the official Top Fan, I guess you'll say, predictions on how it goes. So, John, why don't you lead us off? Who do you think is going to make the playoffs and which divisions? And I guess tell us why.
Okay. So we'll start out with the American League East. And I'm going to give the nod to the New York Yankees there. I think they're pretty well stacked. Probably, in my opinion, the third best roster in baseball. And, they get their pitching right, they can make a really strong run to the World Series. But you always can't count out the Yankees because they're willing to spend the money and make the trade at the right time to make it happen. And I feel like they have a lot of, obviously, not only star power, but consistency throughout the lineup.
Nice.
So that's that. American League Central looks like the White Sox division to lose there. They are stacked, as well as their young talent is now coming into their own. They've made some good offseason moves. So I think they have the best closer in baseball now, and are definitely set up. Obviously, that division could be a little tricky with Minnesota and possibly Cleveland, but I don't know about the Royals and the Tigers, pretty much bottom feeders there. So we're going to go with the White Sox. American League West, always up for grabs between the last couple of years between Oakland and Houston. I think Oakland was a runaway winner last year, but 60 games, I don't know if that's really a season to put in the books. But I'm gonna stick with Oakland again for the division. I just think all around their organization is better than all the other organizations in the American League West at this time. And I always side with organization sometimes over talent. So go with Oakland on that one. National League East will be a two-horse race between the Braves and the Mets. The Mets always trying to make big splash. But once again, organization over talent, in my opinion, will give the nod to the Braves, and the Mets trying desperately every year to buy a division win that never comes to fruition. So I don't see that happening again this year. National League Central, a lot of, I guess, mediocre teams there. But I think a nice sleeper with the Arenado trade, and also, once again, a very well-run organization. I'm going to go with St. Louis to win the division and make a strong run against the Dodgers and Padres there. And then we have the West. Going to have to give it to the Dodgers, even though San Diego made a lot of great moves and have probably second best talent on paper in the major leagues. Going to have to give it to the Dodgers. I think over 162 games, they just have a way more deep roster than any other team in baseball. And if you projected, I think last year's wins totaled over 162 games, they might have had more wins than Seattle back in whatever year that was. They won 116 games or something. I don't know. I can't remember that year. But anyway, I'll give that to the Dodgers. So there's the division winners. Do I go with wild card?
Tell us your wild card picks.
Okay. In the National League, while we're there, we'll go with San Diego Padres, obviously, as a wild card winner. And I want to say the Mets, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to give it to Cincinnati as a sleepy wild card winner there. All right.
Good pick. I picked them to win that division, by the way.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, good pick. I like it.
Great minds. Great minds. Okay. And then American League wild card winners going to be the Twins. I really want to say the Angels, that's just like such a homer pick. And I'm going to say the Blue Jays. Blue Jays and Twins winning the wild card. I think the Blue Jays made more moves than the Angels, and Angels still lack any kind of decent pitching. They have like 7 number 4s, so that's pretty good. But Ohtani is supposed to be recovered, and if he turns back into something that he should be, then they might make a bold move to the wild card, but that's few and far between with Ohtani. He tried last year and didn't really make it. So we're going to stick with Toronto and Minnesota as the wild card in the American.
There you go, John. Just to help you out, Ned, Jackson, and I all picked the Angels to win the West last week.
Woo! Dang.
Feel good about that.
I don't know what you guys are smoking, but I want some.
And the boldest move, I think, came out of Jackson last week when he said Toronto would win the East and the Yankees would come in third behind the Rays.
Dang.
Yeah. Jackson, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that what you told me?
That is correct.
There you go. All right, Dave, take us away.
I think that sounds more like Yankee hate than anything else.
All right, Dave, take us away with your picks. You're on mute.
It almost sounds like he's trying to bet the odds in Vegas and not taking the favorites. Trying to get some odds. Anyway, the thing is, like we talked about a couple weeks ago, a lot of these divisions are like bipolar. They're good and bad, and there's nobody in the middle. And some of these picks are like, oh yeah, you're really going out on a limb there. So National League, the Dodgers, I don't see the Padres pushing them out yet, but it's probably one key injury on either side could swap that out. Both of those teams need their pitchers healthy. They're all going to score runs. They need their pitchers healthy. I got the Cardinals in the Central, and just because I want to predict the Cubs finishing just above the Pirates. Just because I like to do that.
Where's Rob when you need him?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got the Braves in the East, and then to finish out the National League, got the Padres and the Nationals in the wild card.
Ooh, the Nats, huh? Wow.
Yeah, I think it's really hard for these teams to make turn over a third to a half of their roster and really make it into a team that fast that can win that fast. And that's what the challenge the Mets and the Blue Jays are going to have this year. That's tough to do, to turn that over that much. And they're still, the bottom ends of those rosters aren't that good. So, So that's the National League. The American League, as much as I like the Rays, I think they gave up some talent this offseason that's going to hurt them. I'm going to go with the Yankees. And then the Central, I think you know what I'm doing there. It's going to be tough, though, because the Twinkies always give us trouble. And they're always that rock in your shoe that you can't get rid of. So it'll be a dog fight there. And again, I think in that division, it's the same deal. They've got to stay healthy. And if either one of those teams loses a key pitcher, it could be trouble. I think the White Sox can probably weather an injury better just because they have more assets to throw at the problem. They probably are 7 pitchers deep right now, and they're doing that deliberately because they really don't know what they have in Kopech or Garrett Crochet and what kind of depth they can give them. And we got some guys that are older on the starting staff that need to stay healthy. And then I'm going to go with the unpopular pick in the West and go with the Astros.
If you guys are looking for pitching, the Angels apparently have 7 number 4 starters. So if you need somebody, the Angels can give some up, right?
Well, and the White Sox, the early reviews on spring training are that Ethan Katz is all that he was supposed to be, and it's all just positive stories filling the media right now. But there's 7 or 8 deep in the starting staff. 2 of those guys will go to long relief, but if he's anything close to what we're thinking as far as a pitching coach, he's going to have those guys ready to go, and he'll keep them going. So wild card, I got the Twinkies and the Blue Jays in the American League.
Blue Jays are going to be an interesting pick this year, that's for sure.
Yep.
So
yeah, I think it's a challenge. Like I said, there's a lot of new players, new faces, trying to meld that into a team. And I know you guys know, but they're starting their season in Florida. They're not even allowed to play in Canada.
Yeah, which is all kinds of weird, right?
Yeah.
All kinds of weird. All right. Well, now we've got everybody's predictions this year, so we're going to see how this plays out. Jackson, I'm going to turn to you. I'm going to let you pick the matchups based on who you said, and then who wins each matchup. Get us to the World Series. Don't take us past your World Series pick, but you're first.
Oh boy. All right. I mean, I was thinking about this before, and I don't have a record pick per se.
Okay.
I mean, I kind of came up with the championship games, and this one's
Okay.
going to be really controversial in the AL. I think the Angels will play the White Sox, a rematch of 2005.
John, how do you feel about that?
That is awesome. Jackson, you should put some money on that in Vegas and make a lot of money.
I just hope they have AJ calling the game.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great.
We love AJ Pierzynski.
But I just think if the Angels can squeak into the playoffs, I think their big bats will carry them, because that can happen in October. You got the consistency of Mike Trout, Anthony Rendon. That can carry you in the postseason. Both those guys are very, very clutch hitters, which is what you need to be good pitching. And the NL, I got the Braves rematching the Dodgers in the championship game, the championship series, excuse me. Obviously, they went 7 games last year. That makes my World Series pick really difficult, because the heart says the Braves. The brain says probably the Dodgers again. I don't know. But either way, I think one of those 2 teams is going to play the Sox in the World Series. I think the American League is very subpar in general. I think Chicago, up on the rise with the team they have, has a very good chance of making it to the World Series.
Okay. I like it. This championship series is going to be unique if this comes down to this. We'll have to get all the boys together and figure out how to watch a game or something. If, at least John and Dave together at some point, and the 3 of us together. So, and I don't mind if it's the Braves and Dodgers again, especially if we have the same outcome in the championship series. I don't have a problem with it. I'm good. Thanks, Jackson. Ned, who do you got?
I like Jackson. We'll run just right to the championship series, because trying to figure out matchups will be hard. But I have the Yankees versus the Sox in the ALCS, and the NLCS will be a rematch. The Braves pitching will carry them through whoever they have to play to the league championship series, and it'll be a rematch of last year.
Okay. I like it. I like it. I like it. John, what do you say? You're on mute.
National League, I have Cardinals, Dodgers. And in the American League, I have Yankees, Oakland.
Really? Wow. Wow. There's some history there too.
Yep.
I like
Oakland
it.
got to win sometime after they make the playoffs.
Maybe.
Billy Bean deserves it.
Billy Bean deserves it. Let's do it for Billy.
Do it for Billy. He could have gone to the Red Sox and made a lot of won a few rings. He stayed in Oakland.
Yeah. Dave, what you got?
A lot of the same on the National League side. I got the Dodgers and the Braves. I'm hoping that we see a Padres Dodgers throwdown in SoCal right before that. That
Yeah.
could be fun.
Yeah.
And then on the American League side, I've got the Yankees and the White Sox.
How do you like that matchup, by the way, if you get that?
I like it. I think I don't know. I like the chances with the young guys and the upside and the fact that they're a little bit of an unknown quantity that, it's hard to game plan for. Some of those veterans on the other side, you kind of know what you're going to get, and they've got nowhere to go but down.
Okay.
So I don't know.
I like it. I like it.
Plus you have big game James Shields coming in.
Into what? Sell hot dogs?
You guys all saw the meme, right? About James Shields and Fernando Tatis Jr. Did you see that?
No.
I sent that to Dave and he wasn't too impressed with it, but it said that basically that the Sox let go of Fernando Tatis for James Shields, who's 16-53 with a 5.31 ERA so far.
That one big game that he pitched in, though, he was awesome.
That's what the Reds.
You could say that trade saved us $340 million. I'm not going to say that, but you could say that.
You could say that. Yeah, that's funny. Well, I'll take you round by round, and you guys can tell me how crazy I am on this. So my wild card round, I got the Blue Jays, Oakland. Pretty simple. Divisional round, Halos, Bronx Bombers. Okay. Unfortunately, it doesn't work out so well. So that leaves the White Sox, Blue Jays. I think the Blue Jays take out Oakland. And then your championship series, everybody said it already, Yankees or White Sox. That one's gonna be unique. If that happens, Chicago, New York, that'd be great. Little bit of a bold prediction: Padres, Mets in the wild card round. Dave, here you go. You asked for it. Ask and you shall receive. Divisional round: Dodgers versus Padres. Okay, which that would be a lot of fun. Braves, Reds, again, another rematch. This time without Trevor Bauer. So we'll see how that works out. And Dodgers, Braves. So nothing different than what everybody else has kind of said. A lot of those rematches will be fun to see, especially with the year of experience. The Reds, Braves one will be fun. I think the Reds may have learned a few things, although the Reds lost enough that I don't think they get past the Braves unless the Braves have some type of significant injuries or something to that effect. Injuries always play in baseball, 162 games, right? Same thing with the Dodgers. We lose one or two of our pitchers and we're score a bunch of runs, but if we can't pitch, if we're relying on Dustin May, who's still probably a year or two out from making any big splash, although he'd probably be a number 2 in Anaheim. If we're relying on him, boy, we got a lot of work to do. The championship series with the Yankees and White Sox, so that would be a fun one to watch. No offense, John, I just don't think the Angels are far enough along yet to get us to get as much past if they make the playoffs, if they win their division, like I think they will. I just don't know that they go deep in it, especially if they draw the Yankees first round. Although the Angels and Yankees have a history, and the Angels usually win out that history.
If they make the playoffs, I'll be happy. So I'm glad you guys had him.
Yeah.
Look for Clayton Kershaw on the disabled list about July for a 6-week vacation, so he's fresh for the playoffs.
What do you mean in July or June?
He might take one mid-May.
June, although this is a contract year for him. He
doesn't care.
Yeah. Although I don't think the Dodgers are going to do anything but back up the truck and give him whatever he wants. So, arguably a Hall of Famer already if he ended his career now. Probably not a first ballot guy, but definitely gets in fourth or fifth ballot.
Why is he not a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Still doesn't have enough wins.
Clayton?
Mm-mm.
Wins are a team stat.
They still go by wins with pitchers?
Yeah. He's under 200 wins. And so most of the Hall of Fame pitchers that have gotten in have either had 300 or at least mid 200s.
He's arguably the best regular season pitcher of all time.
Yeah. I just don't know that he gets in first ballot. I'm telling you, he gets it. I mean, he did,
175 wins in a career 2.43 ERA, 1.003 WHIP.
He gets in. I didn't say he didn't get in.
69.6 career WAR.
How many losses does he have? He's 175 to what now?
He's 99 over 500 and 76 losses.
He's getting in first ballot.
First ballot. Okay. I stand
2,500 strikeouts.
I don't see how he does not get in on the first ballot, unless like some sports writers like he sucks in the postseason, so I'm not voting for him.
He's going to have a tough time getting to 300 wins.
Yeah, he's gonna.
There'll never be another pitcher that gets to 300 wins.
Really?
Nope.
You don't think so, huh?
No.
That's a bold statement. Do tell. Why do you think so?
Well, because they don't pitch long enough, first of all, and then they come out of the game in the 5th or 6th inning, so sometimes they don't get the win when the bullpen comes in, and most of them just don't have enough starts. No one's pitching anymore for 20 years. You're not a starting pitcher for 20 years. Like I don't even know who's next on the list that's even close.
I'm looking at it right now. Justin Verlander with 226.
And he's not going to get there.
No.
And he's had a great career, and he's pitched, and he's a guy that goes all 9 innings. He's a complete game guy. How many pitchers right now? Like last year, how many pitchers had more than 5 complete games?
Well, last year's a bad example because he had 60
2 years ago. 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like
we're going to a resident statistician.
More
Jackson.
than 5. Like that's a low number, and yet very few people probably did it. I mean, maybe Verlander. So they get taken out in the 5th or 6th inning. It's all turned into a bullpen game, right? Mm-hmm. That's all baseball is now is analytics. So you take you out in the 5th inning before you get to the 3rd time through the lineup, and you bring in your bullpen, and then your team might come back and win. You don't get the win.
The last time there was a pitcher with 5 complete games was 2016.
2016?
Yeah.
Who was it?
Johnny Cueto and Chris Sale.
Oh.
That's and pitchers are what? Starting the most 24 games total that they start throughout the year, maybe. So if you start 24 games, you're lucky to get 15 or 16 wins at the most. And then you'd have to average that over
20 years
to get to 300 wins. It's not going to happen.
So that's a good point, but do you say that the same thing that goes the other direction with 700 home runs? Do you say that we won't see very many people ever hit 700 home runs again?
I don't think you will. They already said that bringing the ball back next year. They're not juicing it as much.
Yeah.
They're reducing the ball next year. For a while there, you had obviously people hitting, a lot of home runs, like 40 home runs a year was not the max. There was like more, there's more people hitting more than 30 home runs, but I don't think anyone's going to get 700. I just don't think people play that long.
Jackson, isn't Pujols at, what is he, 663?
662.
662. Okay.
I'm already ahead of you.
Yeah, so he's 38 away, and he's not going to get that this year.
I don't think Pujols will get to 700 because this is going to be his last year.
Unless he signs someplace else for a cheap deal.
His wife came out today.
Go ahead.
His wife came out today and said it was his last year.
Nothing like announcing your retirement via your wife.
I mean, if he's 5 away.
She wants all the gifts when he goes to all the cities. That's why.
Yeah.
Farewell tour.
Yep.
They should have done it when they played the Central so that he can go to Chicago or go to St. Louis. Which isn't that next season? But
they played St. Louis 2 years ago. I think that's when they should have retired, or maybe should have retired 6 years ago. That would have been better for the Angels.
Ladies and gentlemen, an Albert Pujols fan right here.
I like Albert Pujols, and I think he's a great guy. But his signing 10 years ago was the rock that got pushed down the cliff, and they never recovered. That I'm not blaming Albert Pujols for that, but that was the initial dive into we're trying to buy a championship, and it just screwed their whole organization for 10 years.
So going back to that 700 home runs thing, you don't even think Trout will get there?
No.
I think if Ronald Acuna and Juan Soto continue to hit like they do, I think they have an outside shot at it. Just because they're so young. Acuna has already got 81 and Soto's got 69, and they're both 22. So that's
what. And how much does Mike Trout have? You're on Baseball Reference, yeah.
Yeah, Mike Trout has 302.
And he's how old? 27.
28.
John, you sure?
So for 400 more home runs, he signed what? He signed a 13-year deal?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he play until he's 38. I think that takes him to 38. 10 years, he'd have to average 40 a year.
I mean, with the DH, it's not too hard in the American League.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of home runs over a 10-year span.
Yeah, but does he retire when he's 38?
I mean, it all depends. If he is close to the actual home run title, then he might try to get there.
Yeah.
But I don't see Mike Trout as like the guy that's like chasing records.
No. Nobody's chasing records.
He signed with the Angels. He's not chasing anything. He loves Southern California. He doesn't even do ads. He does not. He should be the face of baseball. He's not. He's just playing for fun and having a good time. And once Albert retires this year, maybe the Angels, open up the books a little bit and try to get some pitching. But they've been signing these 1-year deals for like the last 3 or 4 years to try to tread water until Pujols retires and gets off the books and Upton, and then they can maybe turn the franchise over to Trout and maybe make a move. But he's not the type of guy that's like, oh, I can hardly wait till I pass Barry Bonds,
So just going back to that home run title for a second, do you think, and Hall of Famers, do you think Albert Pujols gets in on first ballot?
Yeah, he's like the best right-handed batter ever to play. I mean,
okay. Just making sure. Just making sure. I mean, you're throwing a lot of steam at Albert Pujols, and you got to get pitching too, right?
I like Albert Pujols. I just think he didn't live up to the contract. And the Angels signed him when he was allegedly 32, which we all know he was 34 or 35. And they signed a 10-year deal, and his WAR with the Angels over 10 years is probably 10. But if you add it all up, it's probably less than 10. I mean, that's not a $250 million contract. I mean, Mike Trout averages what, 6 or 7 WAR per year.
So what are you guys still paying Josh Hamilton?
No.
Okay, that's over.
Yeah.
You don't have a Bobby Bonilla the day like a Josh Hamilton day.
No, there's no Josh Hamilton day.
Dave, this conversation went a different direction, but Dave, what do you think? Do you think that we're ever going to see a 300 or a 300 win pitcher or 700 home run hitter?
No, I don't know. The 300 wins is tough. I was just like scanning the list of the active leaders and just looking at the ages, and they're all in their 30s. So, and there's only a few of them that, have less. There's only a couple that have less than 100 to go to get there. There's just no way once you're in your 30s. So there's really nobody in the pipeline that's even close. Home runs, it kind of depends on what they do with the rules and the ball and everything else. I mean, everybody's swinging for the fences, but I don't know. It's tough. I don't think so. It's going to be a really tall order, unless we have round 2 of steroids or something.
Jackson, how many home runs does Cody have?
Cody Bellinger. I know you probably don't want to hear it, but I think they're going to start figuring out Cody Bellinger pretty soon.
Oh my gosh, I've already figured him out. Watch now.
I know.
I mean, there is nothing that says that if Cody ever watches this, I'm sorry, Cody, call me. And if you got a real problem with it, my name is John Hendrickson. Ignore the name on the screen. No, but I mean, he's got that long, deep swing. Just throw a curveball on him. He's never going to catch it. He's never going to hit it.
He's got 123 home runs.
And how old is he?
Let's see. Oh, come on, Baseball Reference. Where's his date of birth?
He's 23 or 24.
Yeah, give me a second.
Here's an interesting stat.
He's 20. He just turned 25 last year.
Okay.
You want to hear an interesting thing about Mike Trout's WAR?
What's that?
It's already more than any other Dodger in Dodger history.
Thanks, John.
Like all those great Dodgers, everything, right? Dodgers are one of the best franchises ever. And Mike Trout already has more WAR than any other Dodger individual player. That's amazing.
Mike Trout has more WAR than most players, combined.
No, I just thought that was kind of weird, right? You wouldn't think that because there's so many great Dodgers throughout their story franchise.
Mike Trout, you're right. He is overshadowed by Albert Pujols a bit when that contract came in. Mike Trout is arguably one of the best players to ever play the game, if not the best. And as far as hitters are concerned,
he just won't go down. He just won't go down as that because of playoff appearances and wins and rings, right? If you take like a Derek Jeter, for example, he might go down as the best shortstop ever. And people are like, oh, that's because he won all those rings with the Yankees and he was the captain, right? You go straight to that, right? And so
that and 3,600 hits.
I mean, no, he is a good player, but I don't think he ever won a Gold Glove, right? And he was a pretty good hitter, but he'll go down in most people's minds as the best shortstop of all time. And it's because of the rings that he won with the Yankees, not necessarily because of his overall play on the field. And Trout will have all the stats, the gaudy stats, but will he have any rings?
But see, that's the problem, right? And so And Chicago, the White Sox fall into this a little bit too. And boys, tell me if you disagree here, but Sunday night baseball, for example, nationally televised baseball. If the Yankees and Red Sox are playing each other, that's what we're getting for Sunday night baseball, right? Um, the Sox don't get a lot of playtime, nor do the Angels get a lot of playtime right now on nationally televised games, Fox Game of the Week, Sunday Night Baseball, whatever it is. And to your point, it's because he's just not getting seen enough on that spotlight, right? They're just, I mean, tell me I'm wrong, but Dave, do you think the White Sox get enough play on Sunday Night Baseball or the Game of the Week?
Well, up until last year or two, they didn't deserve it, but they do now. I mean, I don't know. I don't think you'll see a lot of them this year, even though they should be on there. It's all about money and ratings, and who's going to get the ratings. So
Yeah.
they could put a Cubs team up there that has 75 losses in August, and they'd get better ratings.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Today, or to John, to your point, I mean, you've got the teams that they love to watch, right? Red Sox, Yankees, Philadelphia. Philadelphia could be awful, yet they want to see them. Braves, Mets, Dodgers, Cardinals. But the Twins could have 100 wins, going into the last week and a half of the season, and they're not going to get any play, or Kansas City or the Tribe. The Asterisks get some play now because of their success, but yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Well,
Ned, go ahead. Go
well,
ahead, Jackson.
I'm sure my dad can tell you, but seeing as baseball is a team sport, I think anyone who votes for playoff wins or playoff World Series wins doesn't know anything about baseball and doesn't know that Ted Williams and Tony Gwynn were two of the greatest hitters who ever played the game, and neither of them have a World Series ring. So Mike Trout's got that going for him.
That's a
No, it's
great
true.
stat.
No, it's true. But I'm just saying, if you're talking about the best ever, the greatest ever,
You could argue Ted Williams was one of the greatest ever, considering he left 3 years of his prime to the military. He could have,
He left twice.
yeah, he could have hit 800 home runs if you really think about it.
But to John's point, I mean, when people think about the greatest of all time, what comes up? Mickey Mantle, Joe DiMaggio. Ted Williams comes in there, but probably behind somebody like Mickey Mantle, right? And again, why is it? Because of the World Series wins. To John's point,
just the average. It's not that I'm not talking about the baseball historian. I'm talking about the average sports fan. They go to rings. I mean, but baseball, if you know baseball, you're like, you could pitch around Mike Trout all day long and it wouldn't hurt you at all. He could go 0 for 4 or 0 for 0 with 4 walks. He cannot carry a team. You can't carry a team individually in baseball like you can in basketball if there's only 5 guys on the court. You can't dribble. You can't just isolate somebody in basketball and say you never get to touch the ball. In baseball, you can say you never get to swing the bat. In football, you're talking about quarterbacks, you get to touch the ball on every offensive play, right? Same with basketball. So in baseball, you could legitimately never touch the ball for 9 innings or a bat for 9 innings, even if you're the best ever, and you have zero impact. So it's hard to carry a team. It's hard to carry a team to a World Series when teams are doing that. I mean, Barry Bonds almost did. He almost did, but he had a lot of good hitting around him, at least, right? He had a potentially a Hall of Fame second baseman right behind him.
Jeff Kent.
Yep. And the Angels haven't had that. I mean, people are going to say Albert Pujols, but he was a shadow of his former self. They now have Anthony Rendon who's going to help out, but he's just, I don't know how many walks the guy's had in his career, but it's got to be more than most in a 3 or 4 year span besides Barry Bonds.
Are you talking about Mike Trout?
Yeah. Over that 3 or 4 year span, he's probably had more walks than anybody else in the history of baseball besides Barry Bonds in a 3 or 4 year span.
I think our resident statistician Jackson's looking it up right now because he got excited when you said that. Oh,
Can you
Ne-
can you think of anybody else over the last 3 or 4 years that actually gets pitched around more than Mike Trout? That like walks?
no, not in the last 3 or 4 years. No. I mean, you had players in history, but not. I mean,
It would be
Frank Tom.
interesting if you could find like I don't know last year and probably doesn't count, but if you go 3 years before that in the 162 games, I don't know how many times Mike Trout was walked, but if you find another player in baseball over a 3-year span that has more walks than him, I would be surprised. I know Barry Bonds will probably pass him, but if you could find somebody else in a 3-year span that had more walks than Mike Trout in that 3 years, I'd be surprised.
Jackson, how many did he have for the last 3 years, excluding last year?
110, 122, 94. But in his MVP season in 2016, he led the majors with 116 walks. But to your point, even he didn't play a full season in 2019, 2018, or 2017. He missed some games.
Yeah.
He led the league in on-base percentage for 4 straight years before last year, with an on-base percentage of 440 or higher, basically, which is ridiculous.
It just stinks because you get on base and then nothing, right? I mean, they bat him second to try to generate some type of person on base, and you legitimately had Albert Pujols basically say, I was actually wondering if it was in his contract because I got so frustrated that he had to hit third for most of that contract. Like he hit third no matter what he was hitting until maybe last year, maybe the year before, but the first 8 years of his contract, he was basically like, I hit third. Like, you guys don't move me down. I hit third. So he hit behind Trout. And you walk Trout and you get to a guy that just rolls over for a double play every time. It's like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know what? The shift killed Albert Pujols' career. Like the shift that didn't exist when he was in St. Louis. All those hits he got, a lot of those hits were in between the third base and shortstop. And the shift that came, they put 3 guys on the left side. Albert Pujols couldn't run. Any ground ball to left side was an automatic out. And it just killed
The
it.
shift.
Killed him.
The shift is killing everybody's career.
Yeah, but I mean, it was like he couldn't adjust because he just had done it for so many years, I think, and it was really hard for him just to like hit a ground ball to second base because he's like, they don't pay me to hit a ground ball to second base, right? They need to hit home runs, but it was just odd. Like the shortstop's basically playing left field and he's throwing them out,
Oh, well.
It was frustrating to watch.
Well, let's go around the horn with final thoughts. Jackson, we'll start with you, and let's final thoughts on the comments about Pujols and or the Angels, or any other team, and the predictions if you want to. Take 30 seconds. We'll go around the horn. We'll go Ned, John, and Dave, and then I'll finish up.
Well, I found the discussion. It's very true that the game has changed a lot, and I mean, it's just exciting that every year is different in baseball. I guess that's the thing. The rules hardly change, but the game just is constantly evolving, and it's just exciting to have players like Mike Trout, once in a generation talent to watch and see that. So we'll enjoy him while he lasts, and hopefully he doesn't have a decline like Albert did. Yeah, those are my final comments. I'm excited. Braves signed Jake Lamb to compete for third base. So,
but you didn't get Alex Cobb. Ned.
Well, as Jackson stated, baseball is definitely a generational game. Obviously, as you can see with generation, 2 generations of Westfalls here on the call here. But that's what makes this game great, is we can sit here and argue who's the best and who's, and that's really what it comes down to, is best of that generation. That's who's going to get into the Hall of Fame. I don't think it really comes down to stats and numbers and who you have to beat, but what type of impact did they have when they played the game. So excited for the season to start, and hopefully we will see some good ball. And our predictions, well, I guess we'll find out in 8 months if that's all coming to fruition or not. So
They're all right here. It's awesome. Thanks, Ned. John.
I'm just pumped for a 162 game season. I felt like that last year was a drop in the bucket. I'm glad we got to play a little bit, but it was just frustrating as a baseball fan that all of a sudden it started and it was over, and you were kind of left a little bit wanting more, right? I mean, that's why I play 162 games. I know there's a lot of not baseball fans, but a lot of sports fans out there like, oh, they play too many games, 162 games, right? But every night as a baseball fan, you get to watch your team compete and go to bed happy or sad. And as many of you, probably all of you, when I was a little kid, just listening to Angel games on my transistor radio as I fell asleep was the greatest time, because it was just rooting for my team, and sometimes going to sleep not knowing if they won or lost and having to get up in the morning and run to the paper in the driveway and see if they won. And so that brings back those memories, and I'm excited for the season, because everybody has hope when spring turns, and so as hope springs eternal, the Angel fans will root for the home team.
Yes, that's very good. Well said. Dave.
Yeah, just another thought on that Hall of Fame discussion. The voters, there's a lot of turnover in the baseball writers that decide that. And I know there's been a lot of discussion about getting the old guard out and the new guard in. And I think you're going to see more and more of that, where just the way they vote is going to change, and the things that they value is going to change, kind of like what we were saying. You can't wait for somebody to hit 300 wins and not put any pitchers in. So I think that's another dynamic to keep an eye on. It was good the last couple of days. I've been watching college baseball, and it's got the juices going again. And there's a lot of good baseball out there, a lot of good games this last few days. Last weekend, there were a lot of good series. I don't think the White Sox have been this deep, and they weren't this deep in 2005. I know that. It's going to be fun to see. I just really love watching the young guys and see how they're gonna make it, or if they struggle a little bit, how they fight through it. I love watching that and seeing how they come through. And there's no shortage of them to watch on the Sox, the Braves, the Padres. There's a lot of really good young players to watch. So that's what I look out for. I love watching that.
Yeah, that's good. Good comment. And we'll have a Hall of Fame discussion here. It's been on my agenda to get to, and what classifies as a Hall of Famer. I'm glad you brought that up. And we still have to get to how the schedules are mapped out this year. What I'm looking for, we're all excited about baseball, but what I'm looking for this year, and my predictions for the championship series are powerhouses, right? White Sox, Yankees, Dodgers, Braves, powerhouses. What I hope to see at some point come back into the game is the fundamentals. I mean, we've all coached at some level. John's coached in high school. I've coached in high school. We've all had the opportunity to coach at some point. In fundamental baseball, the hit and run, the bunt, the sacrifice is all but gone, because, like Dave said, everybody's swinging for the fences. I would love to see. I mean, I about wanted to send a fruit basket to Austin Barnes when he laid down that sacrifice. I mean, that in the playoffs, that was just awesome. It was about time that we see that. So I'm hoping we see a little bit more of that this season, a little bit more running. Maybe if the ball isn't as juiced, maybe we'll see a lot more steals and things like that, which, again, if you had this was the value Ricky Henderson, right? He gets on, first base, and if he can still, and get over to second and even third, now your number two guy, who is, in this case, if it was Pujols, you got a guy that's leading off that's on second base half the time. Well, I mean, not Pujols, Trout. Trout's got an opportunity for an RBI, right? And you start off the game well. So I hope that we get back to fundamentals, but no hopes. I mean, offense sells tickets, defense wins games, right? So anyways, this has been a lively, fun discussion. No holds barred on what people have thought and personal feelings and things. I sure hope that you follow this. Watch it, put it on your car. It's fun to listen to in the car. If you want to join us, Top Fans, feel free to reach out. Go to our Instagram page, follow us on Instagram. Go to our Facebook page, like us there, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. This should be up by Wednesday on the West Coast, and we'll make sure that you subscribe so you can see more.